Glen Powell, the Texas-born heartthrob whose star has blazed across Hollywood skies from dogfight cockpits to romantic entanglements, pulled off a gesture so genuinely wholesome it could melt the iciest critic's heart. During his long-awaited debut as host of Saturday Night Live, the 37-year-old actor didn't just deliver sketches and monologues. He orchestrated a full-circle moment of redemption, flying in a UPS delivery driver named Mitch from 4 years prior to share in the glory. This act of kindness, born from a dashed dream and a chance encounter, transformed what could have been a routine hosting gig into a narrative of persistence, humor, and human connection, proving that in the high-stakes world of showbiz, sometimes the best punchlines come from real life. The backstory unfolds like a script Powell might have penned himself, a tale of pandemic pivots and personal promises. Back in late 2021, as buzz built around his role in the anticipated Top Gun: Maverick sequel, Powell received the call of a lifetime. Hosting SNL, that sacred rite of passage for comedians and actors alike, was slotted for the show's Christmas episode, a slot synonymous with festive cheer and career catapults. Ecstatic, Powell gathered his family on their porch for an impromptu celebration, jumping and whooping in unbridled joy. Fate, ever the prankster, intervened at that precise moment. A UPS driver arrived with a package, stumbling into the midst of the revelry. Powell, high on adrenaline, couldn't resist sharing the news. "Tune in for the Christmas episode," he urged, snapping a selfie with the bemused Mitch to commemorate the serendipity. It was a fleeting interaction, the kind that fades into anecdote fodder, but one that etched itself into Powell's memory. Then reality struck harder than any punchline. COVID-19's relentless waves delayed Top Gun: Maverick, yanking the rug from under Powell's SNL booking. Producer Lorne Michaels delivered the blow personally, quipping, in words Powell recounts with wry affection, "Without Top Gun, no one will know who the F you are." Paul Rudd stepped in as host, bringing his affable charm to the holiday special. But for Powell, the cancellation stung like salt in a fresh wound. The professional setback was one thing, the personal pang was another. That UPS driver, Mitch, now roamed routes whispering, or so Powell imagined, that the up-and-coming actor was all talk, a promise breaker in brown shorts. For 4 years this gnawed at him, a comedic neurosis fueling stand-up fodder and late-night what-ifs. "My dream got taken away," Powell later reflected, the disappointment laced with self-deprecating humor that would become his monologue's hook. Fast forward to the present and persistence pays dividends. Top Gun: Maverick soared to box office billions, cementing Powell as a leading man with rom-com flair, Anyone But You, and action hero grit, Twisters. When SNL re-extended the olive branch for a November slot, Powell seized it not just for glory, but for grudge-settling, gesture-making. Rallying his formidable sisters, described by him as terrifying in their determination, they embarked on a detective mission. Cell numbers traced, routes mapped, inquiries discreetly dropped. The women in Powell's life turned sleuths, unearthing Mitch's contact like buried treasure. They found the cell number of this UPS guy. "His name is Mitch," Powell revealed on stage, the audience hanging on every word. To assuage any lingering doubts, Powell chartered a flight. Mitch and Coach, a budgetary nod to the uncertainties of Powell's upcoming Running Man remake. "He thought it was a scam, but he still came," Powell exclaimed, the line landing with roars of laughter, transforming potential awkwardness into communal delight. The payoff unfolded in Studio 8H's hallowed glow, Powell's monologue a masterclass in vulnerability wrapped in vaudeville. Spotting Mitch in the front row, he beckoned the crowd, "Give it up for Mitch, the UPS guy." Cameras panned to the unassuming hero, his grin equal parts bewildered and beaming, as Powell whisked him on stage for a sequel selfie. "To prove to Mitch that I am not a liar," Powell declared, recreating the porch pose with theatrical flair, the duo's embrace closing the loop on a saga spanning delays, doubts, and delivery vans. It was pure SNL magic. Impromptu, inclusive, a reminder that the show's DNA thrives on elevating the everyday. Powell capped it with wisdom earned the hard way. "If I have learned anything, it is that the best things in life don't happen overnight. And no one knows that better than UPS." The zinger, timed to perfection, drew thunderous applause, underscoring how Powell wove personal lore into universal truth. This wasn't mere stunt, it was Powell at his most authentic, a thread consistent with his career ethos. Raised in Austin amid a family of overachievers, his mom a flight attendant, dad in real estate, he honed his chops in theater before Hollywood beckoned. Early roles in The Dark Knight Rises and Scream Queens built buzz, but Top Gun: Maverick was the launchpad, his Maverick-adjacent Lieutenant Jake Hangman Saracen a cocky foil to Tom Cruise's legend. Off-screen, Powell's charm disarms. Interviews reveal a guy who geeks out over scripts, credits mentors like Cruz for growth, and prioritizes family ties that mirror the sisterly sleuthing in his tale. His rom-com resurgence, sparring verbally with Sydney Sweeney in Anyone But You, showcased comedic timing ripe for SNL, where sketches demand quicksilver adaptability. Saturday's episode amplified this versatility. Teaming with alumni Will Forte for MacGruber revivals, explosive, absurd parodies of 80s action. Powell dove into physical comedy, detonating props and deadpanning through chaos. Musical guest Olivia Dean infused soulful vibes with Man I Need, and Let Alone the One You Love, her velvet tones a counterpoint to the sketch frenzy. Powell's prep revealed deeper stakes. In chats with outlets he gushed about SNL as a lifelong dream, the stage a childhood fantasyland where idols like Adam Sandler once reigned. It's a really wonderful moment when your childhood dreams get to come true, he mused, eyes alight with the kid who memorized monologues in Texas living rooms. The Mitch moment? It humanized the ascent, grounding stratospheric success in relatable roots. Broader strokes paint Powell as Hollywood's everyman leading man, approachable amid A-list descent, his gestures like the UPS fly-in signaling a rejection of aloof stardom. In an industry rife with ghosting and ego, this was olive branch extended, a nod to the unsung, delivery drivers included, who greased the wheels of fame. Fans buzzed online hailing it as peak Powell. Funny, fervent, fundamentally kind. As Running Man looms, a dystopian sprint channeling 80s excess, expect more such flourishes, blending blockbuster bravado with heartfelt beats. Ultimately, Powell's SNL bow wasn't just a hosting triumph. It was a homage to delayed gratification, the poetry in perseverance. Mitch's presence, selfie in hand, symbolized it all. Promises kept, laughs shared, lives intersected in the unlikeliest ways. In a town that chews dreams and spits sequins, Powell reminded us, the best stories aren't scripted. They're shipped, delayed, and delivered with a grin.